Good afternoon and Happy New Year, everybody. Thanks for joining us this evening. Uh, this is Lifelong Learners Talk Show, and I'm your talk show host, Terrence Perry. And today I have my first guest of the new year, exciting young man, energetic. He's active in the community. Actually, he's new to the community, but he came a couple years ago, came right in, and just started working with youth. So I want to introduce him, Sherrod Genius Jones.
How everybody doing? Happy 2017, people. Blessed to be on the platform, and I thank Mr. Perry for the opportunity.
All right, man. Listen, I appreciate having you here. We've talked a little bit over the past couple of months, and I've been following you, watching just the way you've moved in the community and how you've adjusted, jumped right in, started working with you work with youth, but you also have kids of your own. But in just a minute, I want to just let you tell the audience just what you're doing in the community with the youth, and just a little bit about yourself. But before we do, I do want to give the audience an opportunity to call into the show today if you want to. You can call us at 919-518-9773, and you can be in the chat room, and just talk with us, chat with us, we just dialogue about what's going on, what your plans are for the new year. And also just want to give a shout out to my producer Amnon for the new year.
Happy New Year!
All right, that's what it is. So today again, I want to get the audience involved in meeting Sherrod, and we want to find out why Sherrod is called Sherrod Genius Jones, and he's going to share that with us. So if you don't mind, would you mind just telling us a little bit about you coming to the Raleigh, North Carolina area, and just what you're doing in the community?
Yes, definitely. Raleigh, North Carolina. I moved from the D.C. area, actually. Raleigh, North Carolina was a spot me and my wife picked for the betterment of our family, cost of living, and just the school system, and just getting a fresh start, really. So I moved down here in 2014, and ever since then, I've been pretty much just trying to get in touch with the youth, trying to meet people and connect with people, like-minded individuals and things of that nature. So right now, I'm just supporting everything positive going on between the community and the youth development overall. So youth panels, charitable fundraisers, just trying to support small businesses and small-owned businesses and things like that, and just really give my time and my effort and energy. A lot of that is volunteer, speaking to youth, holding educational workshops, just however I can really help. And that's just pretty much what I'm doing.
All right, man. You sound like you've jumped in right in, and you're pretty active. But also you talked about, I guess, your organization that you've developed, the Young Genius Society, and I've seen you on some of your videos. You've been talking about leadership, personal development, but also community development and youth development in that process. So tell us a little bit about your background and what got you involved in just wanting to reach out to the youth in the community. What's inspired you to move in that direction?
I think for the most part, what inspires everybody is just experience. So me going through a difficult path when I was younger, trying to find out who I was, and my identity crisis, if you say, really led me to speak to the youth. Just not having a plan, not having a structured plan of what I want to do in my life, really led me to want to speak into the lives of people who might be going through the same things I went through. So at a young age, high school and stuff like that, I didn't have a plan necessarily. So it took me a while before I could find myself. I went through a lot of little trials and tribulations, trying to find out what I could do to impact the world and what my purpose was. So I went through that in my early 20s. It took me a while. I went through that in my early 20s, and I found out that I had the gift of gab, which is to speak, and then I found out I needed to connect that with something else I also love, which is kids. So I started coaching youth sports, got involved with young kids and the way their minds worked and just the energy. I'm a big kid myself, so I like to be around kids, and they are our future. So that's what we need to dedicate our time to and really put the process of all our energy and all our plans into them, because those are our future CEOs and business owners of the world, and that's where we need to start.
And just before we go any further, I just want to back up. I just want to back up a minute and just send a shout out to you, not only for working with youth in the community, but having 3 sons of your own. And like I said, I've seen some of the videos, and you talking about your sons and the things that you do with your sons. Now, I was looking at last year. I think when they got out of school, you had planned a beach trip for them. You also had you all went to the zoo. Can you just tell us a little bit about the fatherhood thing, how you look at that, and just how you see it going forward, and the way you interact with your kids?
Definitely, just being try to treat my kids as young kings. I got 3 boys, and just experiences, things that they can always remember. A lot of that material stuff always fades and goes away, but memories that you set in and things that you have conversations about and discuss with your kids are very important. So I like to create the memories, let them see the world, let them experience it hands-on, experience different parts of life, different people, different backgrounds, different cultures, and different places. It allows them to create a perception of the world based on their own views. So we went to the beach. Like I said, it was a trip that didn't cost a whole bunch. We shared a memory, something they can remember and they can share with their kids later on. It was something that was spur of the moment. We went down, we talked about a lot of different things and how the world works and just different environments. We changed over from just being at home every day to a beach environment, same type of living, but we allowed them to experience the hotel life and travel and what goes into that, and packing bags and just being a part of something that is outside of the norm. So encourage everybody to switch up their environment a little bit to see how their kids take to it, because it really helps them learn overall, especially at a young age. So that's a big deal. That's the big importance on that is just expand their horizons a little bit, letting them see something outside of their own neighborhood.
Well, so while you're on that note, tell us too, how did you all celebrate Christmas? What did y'all do? Just how you guys celebrated the Christmas together.
Yeah, we actually we were at home. We actually ended up going to the Washington D.C. area, back where our families are, a little bit after Christmas, but pretty much we all did something pretty traditional. We watched movies. Christmas Story is something I've been watching for years and years and years. The marathon of the Christmas Story. So we did a lot of that. A lot of family time and just explaining what Christmas is all about and how it's not all about necessarily material, but getting things that you want and need, but also giving and getting at the same time. And it was pretty traditional. A lot of noise, as you can think of, because there's a lot of boys in the house. So it was pretty much business as usual. A lot of noise, a lot of football being played, and that's pretty much it.
So, and just I want to ask you just about yourself, and I don't know, so I'm gonna ask. Did you have your father in your life growing up? Did you all have a traditional things that you all did? Doing different, I guess, holidays, events, like summer and whatnot. Did you all have that time together to do that, and that carried over into the way that the way that you chose to raise, your kids?
Well, actually, me and my sister, we actually grew up with just a single mom. So my dad, my mom and my dad split when I was 1. So I guess not seeing that made it more imperative to me to be able to go out and set that tone and set that just something that we can build on, a tradition to start. We didn't really have too much of that growing up because we were pretty much on different accords. But as far as my mom and my sister, but that's something I want to create with my own children, just allowing them to be in a tradition where they can look forward to something every Christmas holiday and really create that family type of environment.
And I think that's awesome. Just the fact that you, just chose to be that type of guy on your own, to be that man, to be that father, to be involved in your kids' life, day in and day out. The planning, the vacations, the trips, and like you said too, it ain't about the material things, but it is about the memories. Can you talk about just the way you looked at, it's about building those memories a little bit. Can you share a little bit of that with us?
It's
that memory building.
It's all about the things that you always put into your mind that everything has a dollar amount attached to it. So that small stuff that you would think wouldn't be important, even if it's going up the street to, McDonald's every Sunday or whatever it is. But that consistency and doing it over and over again, something that could be so small and minute, is really what they remember for a long period of time. The stuff that we receive a lot of times is, cost value and high cost value usually depreciates. If it's closed, it gets worn, it gets too small, we throw it away. But the things that sticks in your memory bank is the things that are important. The brain is the strongest muscle in the body. So if we feed the brain what we need it to be, the positivity and all the memories, that's what sticks. I'm still remembering stuff from when I was 5 years old. That's 25 plus years ago. So I get a chance to see how the brain really works. We can remember things when we were 6, random things, not everything, but we can remember some things, fresh out of the hospital sometimes as people. So brain is pretty strong. If we feed that, the memories and responsibilities and everything it needs to know, then it will be able to retain that information. But we gotta put in what we want to get out. So that's why I share the memories. That's why I allow my kids to really see something different than they're used to, because the environment probably is gonna have a lot to do with their raising. But if we put that, instill that really hard just memories and really hard just responsibilities and just things of that nature, that stuff will stick. And for 20 plus years, and they'll be telling their kids the same thing that we told them. So that's that's major.
So again, I just want to thank you for the kind of father that you've chosen to be. And I say that because I was raised with my father, my mother and father. I had 9 brothers and sisters, but one of the things that my parents did was, like you said, they planned summer trips for us during the summer, to the beach, and they, we did holidays together, but we built those memories. Not that we had a lot, but we built those memories, and those memories are, that's what sticks with us. So what you're doing is exactly right to build those memories. You can't go wrong, but just the fact that you're there is even, that's for a guy to be in your late 20s going into your 30s. That's a positive move that we oftentimes don't see. But you are a role model, and you are an example of, we are here, and we are in our sons' lives. So in 2017, you are setting that example. So I want to just say thanks for that.
It'll pay off in the future.
Definitely, I think it's going to pay off. But let me also talk. I want to talk about a little bit about, you went through a period of where I don't know whether you got fired or dismissed from your job, but you took it in stride. You took it with a positive outlook, and this was that last year or the year before when that happened?
It was actually in October.
In October,
this year, yep.
And I remember you saying, you wasn't feeling that job anyway because it was just a job. You wasn't feeling like it accounted for any of your growth. It wasn't your long-term goal. But can you speak about how that? Because I like the way you put the spin on it. It wasn't like you was feeling down in the press because that job ended. You was like, okay, there's another, there's some next that you should be moving to. So you actually was thanking God for that happening. Can you share that with us a little bit about that?
Yes, October I lost a job, my job, and that job was centered around the youth. Actually, it was my first job that I was going to get to be able to be centered around the youth. The job description was far different from what actually went on. As me, when you have a strong passion for what you do, you really don't take a lot of unnecessary, or you don't take anything that's halfway. So it was all the way for me or no way. So I tried to be in a place where they cared a little less about helping the youth than I did. So I tried my hand at just really trying to get the program to be better than it was, and suggesting things and stuff like that. That didn't really go well because, for whatever reason, sometimes people that speak up are often put into a box or just not really understood. So I battled with that for a little while. It really wasn't the place I wanted to be, but it was a great start for me, I felt like, and allowed me to see a whole bunch of different things. But as time went on, I just realized that, hey, it's not always going to be a comfort. Sometimes you have to get uncomfortable in your life in order to really produce. So I I end up losing that job, but it allowed me to, I gained something from it, just like anything else in life. Even if it's a win or it's a loss or a tie, you gain something from it if you look at it the right way. So I gained knowledge from it, the wisdom from it. I was able to take some things from that, some great people I've met, and just really break it down in that way and move forward with it. Like I said before, like the video I put out, I wasn't doing that just so people can see me in misery, but more so just kind of show people that how relatable life is. Not trying to motivational speak because I have a perfect life. I never had a bad day or it never rains on my side of town. But more so, I'm giving you guys the view of what a relatable life is like. People lose their jobs. People have bad days. It rains on people's side of the town sometimes. I'm not motivating you. I'm motivating us, individuals, and everybody as in general. You know, I need motivation. You guys need motivation. So that job was just, you know, it was a stepping stone in the right direction. And I learned a lot from it, and it really helped me in the long run. But I got to look at the bigger picture, not the smaller picture. So,
closes one door and opens another.
Definitely.
So again, anyone that want to call in, got anything they want to voice their opinion about the 2017, just give us a call at 919-518-9773. We have Sherrod Genius Jones in the house today, and I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the quotes that you had over the course of last year, some of the things that you had mentioned on your videos, things that you talked about, and one of the things that you talked about were the 10 things that life would teach you. And in that I guess in that segment of your show, you were talking about the 10 things that life would teach you. One of the things that you said, everybody ain't your friend. Can you elaborate on just that comment?
Yeah, definitely. Getting older and learning from your parents. Parents tell you this all the time, but you know, when you're a teenager, you know everything. So you know, when you get older, you start to really take into what your parents telling you, and everybody's not your friend, at least not long term. I believe people come to your life on a temporary basis, just like the season. So people change, and things change, situations change. So some people are there for maybe 2 months. It might be to teach you something. It might be to connect you with somebody else. It might be to give you some vital information. And everybody's not there to make sure that you succeed. You're not always the person not looking for your best interest in mind all the time. So when you're looking at these people or you calling these people your friends, they don't always have your best interest in mind. Everybody has different intentions, but you should treat everybody with respect either way. But just know that just because they're there now, I don't mean they'll always be there. And you have to watch how you allow people to work within your life and what you allow them to know, because everybody's time and everybody's the information that they take from you, it's not always good. They don't always relate it the same way. So I just get whatever you can from that individual, even if they're not a long-term friend. You know who's the long-term friend and who's not. And just use the people and the information they give you and the time they give you and whatever lessons they teach you to the best of your abilities. And that's what it really is all about. You just got to be careful who you allow to become your friends and be inside your friend circle and realize that everybody ain't your friend.
All right, I'm going to touch on a couple of more. You said hard work pays off.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely hard work. Consistency and hard work pay off. So, you know, whatever your goals were for 2017, if you didn't have a good 2016 and you can't mix the same ingredients and get different results. So if you had a bad 2016 and you didn't work hard, just because the new year rolled over don't mean 2017 is going to be better. If you're using the same ingredient, you're going to have to get a better ingredient than you did in 2016 to get 2017 ingredients and results. So hard work is always going to pay off, man. You consistently do it over and over and over again and stay patient within it, you'll get the results. But it's a patience and a process to it. So you got to wait it out.
All right. You said you got to follow before you can lead. And you said not everybody necessarily agree with that, but that's your belief that you have to follow before you lead. You can lead.
You have to, in order to ever want to play basketball, you probably watch Michael Jordan. You know, just like the great football players, just like anybody great. Muhammad Ali, if you wanted to be a boxer. So you have to model yourself after somebody. You have to see a vision through somebody's eyes in order for you to be that person. So you got to see that example of a leader before you're able to be one. You know, you got to see what a leader looks like before you know what it's called. So before you can go out there and lead, you got to learn how to follow. You got to learn how to take somebody's advice. Mentors and people who have that experience, who have lived long with you, have that wisdom and been there before you. You listen to those people, you know, your grandparents, your uncles, and people who have lived life. And that's why I always go by life is education is a quote I live by, because life will teach you so much. And it'll educate you beyond means if you listen and you pay attention the right way. So,
now you also said karma, so talk about that. You said karma is coming back, so be ready for it.
I mean, you just got to watch what you put into the world. You got to watch what you the things that you do. By doing people harm or trying to live off somebody else's misery, it's going to take a toll on your life. It's going to, the things that you put out in the world, you're going to get back, and usually 2 times over. So, just be prepared for what you do and give what you want to receive.
All right. And if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Definitely. The structure, man, it's the structure. That's the big reason why a lot of businesses fail. That's a big reason why a lot of people are lost, because they don't plan. You can't just have the bread, 2 pieces of bread. You got to have a little bit of meat or peanut butter jelly, whatever you need in between it. And 2 pieces of bread, it's not called a sandwich. It ain't a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I know peanut butter and jelly. So you want to, where to start at, where you want to finish at, and the stuff in between is very important. That's how you get to where you're going. So.
All right, and you said some things are better left unsaid.
Yes. I mean, some things are better left unsaid. It's just the fact that even our minds as people, sometimes, we might have a negative thought. But sometimes we don't need to speak that into existence because we put it in the air, and even if it's a motivational speaker or anybody who's out there, a negative thought or a bad thought might cross your mind. But to put it out into the existence and put it out into the air, it's better left unsaid. Keep them thoughts in your mind, and you replace them with positive thoughts. And therefore, you're not giving off negative energy out in the world to people who you love or people who you care about, because that words are weapons.
All right, so we got a young man, but like Sherrod Genius Jones, and we see why he's called Genius Jones, because he has a lot of wisdom in those young years. But what he's saying is definitely true. It's true to life. So he's learned that, and that's what he's sharing with the youth today. That's what he's sharing his own kids' life and in his own life. So, but also you went a little further, and you spoke on there was a video that you did, and you said you're only going to talk about this one time, but you put it out there. It was about the election. So when we talked about the election end of the year, I was talking about the Donald Trump winning the election, and so you said that you had that there were some questions and there were some answers that you asked, and you answered yourself, because that's what you was hearing a lot of. So I just want to touch on some of those questions that was put out there, and how you answered those questions. So I'm gonna take you there for a minute. When we talked about the election, you said, "Should I be worried or scared?" What was your answer to that question?
I said no. Shouldn't be worried or scared. Everybody goes into a panic attack. Knee-jerk reactions happen when things happen that people feel like they can't control. But the thing about it is that as human beings in life, we're constantly adjusting. So this is just another adjustment period. You're adjusting to everything in life. You're adjusting to the weather. You're adjusting to the traffic. You change roads when the roads are blocked off. You go a different way when traffic's this way. When this is closed, you go somewhere else or wherever it might be. So you're constantly adjusting all of your life. And this is just another big adjustment. Sometimes things ain't gonna go your way. Most times things ain't gonna go your way. And the things that you can't control, you can't cry about. Don't cry over the spilled milk, just clean it up and get a new jug of milk. That's all you can really do. So that's no fear. And so.
And you also said there was the question, should I move to another country?
Right.
And you said, go research what it costs to get a passport.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
Well, when stuff happens, people like to just throw a whole bunch of things out there, and they don't plan to execute. Okay, it's just like throwing a whole bunch of nonsense out in the air that, despite what happened in America the last semi years, the U.S. is proven to be one of the best countries, the best country to live in, and you're blessed to be in this position. Go research other countries and find out what they're going through and what they're doing over there in other countries, and then you can research the passport as well and find out if it's worth your while.
Okay, and also you said that there was a question: should I protest?
Right.
And you said you felt, not so much, but if somebody wanted to, they could. Elaborate on that a little bit.
Well, the protest for me, honestly, in my honest opinion, is it hasn't been going well. It hasn't really done too much lately. A lot of people protest and they think that the violence is controlled, and violence is with the protest. And a lot of times it doesn't have anything to do with anything. They go and they change the whole reason why you're out there. They protesting, and it really it doesn't get results. It's something that everybody new age think they have to do, but until it starts getting results, that it starts helping things and changing things. I mean, protests, is something that you can put on social media and everybody can take pictures of, but what is it really solving? What is it really helping? So,
and one of the things that stuck out of my mind that you said that I liked was when you said that people have been awakened. People have been awakened. So that's why I gave you a copy of my book, because you made that statement. The book that I recently wrote was America's Awakening, and it speaks to the point that you're getting ready to make. So I'm gonna just let you elaborate on that. Feel free.
Just like I related back to the 9/11 terrorist attacks, or I related back to people who have went through something or studied something, haven't been tested. That's like you're going through 4 years of college and they saying, hey, take this test. If you haven't been tested in life, how well do you know? How good are you at what you know? 9/11. We thought we were a secure country and the airports were all locked down until that happened. Now we found out we wasn't as secure as we thought we were. So now that allows us to see when things happen. Now people are awake. A lot of people didn't want to go out and vote, and they thought voting was senseless because whatever reason, whoever they voted for, they thought it was senseless. And then they found out that they were awakened by the results of what happened, because they thought that they expected something to happen that didn't happen. So when it happened, now that everybody's attention is drawn, and that's the positive thing that came out of the election, despite who you might have voted for. Now people are probably going to be aware. They're probably going to go out to the polls. They're probably going to watch the elections. They're probably going to watch the speeches so they can be more in tune, because they need to know what's going on now. Because they had to get out of their comfort zone, shaking up a little bit in order to see what happened. So when you test it, that's how you found out what you're really about. You can't test your strength if you don't lift any weights, if you don't go out there and test your knowledge. So we gotta, everybody's awakened now, because the tension and the focus is on what's going on in the world. That's what the election did help.
All right, but Sherrod, look, you're a very enlightened brother. I appreciate your insight and your wisdom, like I said, at a young age. But I also, again, I just appreciate you being the man that you are, being the father that you are. We need more young men to step up like you. Hopefully, you are setting that example, that role model, and and you mentioned also talking about standards, that you've set a high standard for yourself. So, just by you being out in the community and doing your those videos, you letting people know that you are out there and what you're doing, so they'll get an opportunity to see your standards and how you operate, and maybe they'll follow your lead. And you are leading by example. But just so people can get in touch with you through social media, and you also have a website, can you just let them know what those social media availabilities are, what on your website, and just how they can get in contact with you if they want you involved in any of the events that they have coming up, how they can contact you. And again, I just appreciate having you on today, and you just letting people know that you are here and what you are about.
Okay. My website is actually IamGeniusJones.com. My Instagram is IamGeniusJones. LinkedIn is Sherrod Jones. I have a public figure page, which is Genius Jones on Facebook, and my personal page on Facebook is Sherrod Jones. You can find me on there, as well as my business email for inquiries is IamGeniusJones@yahoo.com. I do panels, community events. I host youth events. I do pretty much everything that's positive for the community. So if you want to involve me, church events, anything that's going on, those are where you can reach me at.
All right. Well, again, Sherrod, I appreciate having you on. Again, we have Sherrod Genius Jones, knowing that you are here in the community. I look forward to working with you. So I appreciate it. Listen, have a good one, man. You got my contact information, so we'll definitely follow up. We'll both be working in the community with the youth and with some of the other community leaders. So I look forward to seeing you out there. All right, so thanks. We're going to keep it moving, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to go into the second half of the show. And just on the second half of the show, we do have we have Linda. I want to say Linda Gutman, Gutin, but I'm gonna let you come on, and we're gonna talk about just a little bit more about working with the community in terms of what you do. So without further ado, I do want to bring Linda on and just let her explain to you what her involvement is with her company, ROI Resume.
Hi, my name is Linda Gutin, Gutin. It rhymes with Putin, for whatever that's worth. People spell it right a lot more of the time now. I'm with ROI Resumes. That's Return on Investment Resumes.com. One of my slogans is "We bring the cha-ching."
We bring the cha-ching.
Cha-ching.
Now, let me ask you this: what is ROI Resume, and who are you in terms of ROI Resume? I know you have a 25-year background in diverse background. Let me say that first of all. You bring so many different things to the table, and today I want to give you an opportunity to share those things that you do bring to the table that created the ROI Resume. It's not just a name, but you have set a standard, and you've set a standard for what you do, and I want you to share that with the public today, because everybody can't necessarily reach that standard.
Sure.
Unless they're trying as hard as you. And I'm saying that to say, I want you to share a little bit about your diverse background. I want to know what makes you different than anybody else that does resumes. What is it about ROI that separates you from anybody else?
Well, a lot of people ask me, how did you get into doing resumes? And I say, well, one of my friends from junior high school actually told me a few years ago, it's no surprise you became a writer/editor. Don't you remember in junior high school when we would pass you notes, you would pass them back to us with the spelling corrected? Said that's what happens when you have two parents who are professors. So that was the first. I started to just find mistakes and tell people about them. Beyond that, then I went to, I spent a little time in the business world, and actually saw a friend of mine who had the same job I did, had a great bullet on her resume. And I said, oh, we're not applying to any of the same places. Can I steal that bullet? She said, sure. That bullet became kind of a role, what would you call it? A model for how I would do other people's bullets, or my own other bullets when I did it. And then I actually got a degree in something called organizational psychology, which is the study of how you make organizations more effective through their human systems. Things like management, supervision, training and adult learning theory, training and development, and one class, vocational counseling and appraisal, was really quite enlightening to me about what readers of resumes are looking for.
So now that's somewhat of an extensive background. When you compile that together, that background on organizational psychology, also the resume writing, the editing, copywriting.
Sure.
So I'm looking at that background, and also now you are a career counselor, speaker, coach. And so when I ask the question, what is ROI Resume? I'm asking that question because I'm asking who you are, and you just explained that in terms of just that background. That helps you to create something that others are not creating. First of all, you are correct. You do have a cure for finding misspellings or any of those. I know firsthand because I think you've called me two or three times and corrected me on some things. Even on my own website, there was a misspelling.
It's pretty common.
Most of you guys won't find it, but she found it. So it just lets me know that you have an eye for detail. But that's critical in resume writing.
Sure.
But also, what do you, okay? How do you work with a resume client?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good question. Everybody's different, so usually I look first at what their current resume and cover letter look like, and what they were aiming at, because I want to see what the target was, and then what kind of job they did at lining themselves up. One of the really biggest problems with resumes is there are a million, well, maybe 25,000 resume writers in the United States. And then anybody who's ever read a book or taken a class on resume writing thinks they know better. So that can drive the individual crazy, because they'll say, well, I paid you money to do my resume, and the next thing you know, I had 5 different people telling me all different opinions about it. And I said, yes, and do you remember me telling you at the very beginning that that was going to happen? And that before you believe them, you should bring me back what it is they're telling you, and we'll discuss it. So for each individual, I ask to see that and what their goals are. And then I just ask them a whole bunch of other questions that occur to me to help dig out what I refer to as the gems about them.
So one of the things that you do, or you say it, is that you are about twisting words, or you are about twisting your words to make those words sound the way that you like. But just kind of elaborate on that.
Okay.
On that quote to clarify, when you talk about twisting words to make that work.
Well, first let me say that when you're cooking something, you make sure that you have all the ingredients out on the counter before you, and the right amounts before you start the cooking. Because otherwise you can get stuck without one of the important ingredients, and you end up something that even you don't want to eat. You're certainly not going to invite anybody else to eat it. But what happens, I think, for the most part, is when people sit down to do their resume, even if it's done and they're just making changes, at the same time as they are deciding what's going to be on it, they are also doing the writing, and they're also formatting it. And those are actually 3 different processes. So I separate them out. The most important thing is what belongs on the resume. Don't worry about how it's going to read and how it's going to be formatted, because that's going to change again and again and again before you get to the final. And nowadays, even after you get to the final, it's going to change, because there's this whole stuff, do you know about the keywords, and having to make sure that if your resume is going to be put into a database, that they then have a searched by computer to make sure that the right terms are on it. So for each job posting that you submit a resume for, your resume is going to have to be at least slightly different.
Okay, and that was one of my questions, is when you do that resume, don't, for each job that you apply for, you have to tweak that resume to fit that job, but also to still fit who you are.
Sure.
And I guess that's what you mean by twisting words to make that fit. It keeps you being you, but it makes you fit the job that you're applying for. But in that same note, when you're talking about, I think I'm gonna back up. You talking about job satisfaction and
Sure. Right.
and career satisfaction, and you help the person bridge the two through resumes.
Yes.
Talk to me about that a little bit.
Okay, so a lot of people, when they are updating their resume, they're continuing to put stuff on. They're not taking as much off as they should, and they're not sure what should be on it. So the first thing I do is I ask a bunch of questions that'll help me understand what job and career satisfaction could look like for them. Now, job and career satisfaction are not the same thing. Sometimes job satisfaction is just getting paid what you need to get by. and not throwing up every morning before you go into work. Career satisfaction, I'm sure you get a lot of career satisfaction out of holding these, putting this on air, right? Helping people, right?
Right.
You may not be making, I mean, hopefully you're making money at it, but you may make money at a day job. Some people blog or they crochet or do other, woodworking. That may give them real career satisfaction. The job satisfaction is can be more about the money and not hating, your coworkers. But it actually is down to the granular level. So it's, what are the tasks that you do, where you do them, with whom, and what are the rewards and the pros and the cons. Okay. So you could have a perfect job, but it's in Alaska, and your family's here, and you're not moving to Alaska. So therefore, it's not the perfect job. Or you could have a job you don't like so much, but you're allowed complete flexibility. You're a single parent. You need to be able to take work home with you to go see the kids play, or you need more flexibility. So there's a lot of different aspects to it. And that's why everything needs to be out on the table first. I say, put all the information about yourself on the table, the gems, the tasks that you love to do, some that you're okay with doing, you even may like, some that you don't like, and then the stuff that's deal breakers, things that you're never going to do. And we line them all up, and we look, and we say, okay, well, if you don't want to do this, how come you talk about it so much on your resume? And you say that you love this and that you're really good at it. I don't see it on your resume at all. So why isn't it on there? The person says, well, I haven't done that in 5 years. I said, but you liked it, right? Yeah. Okay, so then just tell me about it. We don't know how it's going to be written onto the resume yet, but if I don't know about it, I can't consider it in the overall package of resume, cover letter, LinkedIn profile, plan on what you're going to talk about when you're in the interview, after interview letter.
Okay. Now, that brings me to a question that I want to ask you, because you do have a diversified, I'm gonna say diversified experience over is it a 25-year or 20-year?
Yeah, you're never supposed to say after more than 20. That's another thing. I don't care if you have 40 years experience. We're not putting that 40 years experience on your resume.
The reason I bring that the reason I bring it up is because and I'm gonna say you've been doing this for, I'm gonna say, a long time.
20 years. Yeah.
But within the last 7 years, things have just changed in terms of how resumes is done, how they're put out there.
Right.
One of the things that you mentioned was that now the way the resumes are looked at is they look at the keywords and that sort of thing. But I want to know how have your style of doing resumes changed from when you started to in recent years? How did you make that leap of faith, or that change in how you were doing resumes for people, and how you had to change to continue to be relevant in this day and time? Just take, for instance, when Blockbuster, you remember when we used to go to Blockbuster to get movies, and
right.
And then Blockbuster didn't change, so we don't go to Blockbuster to get movies anymore because they no longer exist.
Right.
How have you made yourself relevant now in that process?
Well, I certainly read about, a lot of it's on the web and on LinkedIn, provides articles by different quote-unquote experts about the latest and how keywords are being... When I started, I never even knew what a keyword was. Social media didn't really exist. There weren't applicant tracking systems, which is what the computer that reads your resume after it's been submitted, and it's searching for those keywords. So that, of course, has changed. At one point, I used to like my format to be a little on the fancier side, and I had page borders and I had lines, and it looked really good when it was printed out. But then I was talking to a headhunter one day, and he said, guess what? The applicant tracking systems don't like those lines. I mean, they don't have minds to say that they don't like the lines. They stop reading when they see a line because they think somehow it's over. So at that point, I completely stopped having page borders. I didn't care. I did care. No more lines. And that's why I'm always surprised to see when somebody shows me their resume that they've had done professionally and it's got lines on it, because people are paying attention, know that those are not good. When I started, there were objectives. Now you're not supposed to have an objective, but you'll still see somebody's resume who has it because they're looking at an article that's either outdated or the person who wrote it is slightly behind the times. We used to put our street address on resumes. We don't put the street address on resumes anymore. That's another sign that if you look at a sample for somebody you're thinking about hiring to do your resume, or a friend who's going to help you with theirs, you look real quick. Does it have the street address? If it does, then they're already behind the times. If it doesn't have your LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn didn't exist back when I started doing resumes. Now you want to make sure that that LinkedIn profile is there. I think just over 20 years, I've also gotten better. When I first started doing resumes professionally, that was all I was doing. I wasn't doing any copywriting. I wasn't doing other stuff. And when you do 4 or 5 resumes a week for completely different types of people, you get better at it.
Okay. And you do resumes for executive students coming out of, I guess,
college
or and graduate school.
Sure.
Internships. So, let me ask you this: how do you find your resume? Well, not just your resume clients. It might be someone that need copywriting or what have you. How do you find your clients, and how do they find you?
Well, I have a website, roiresumes.com, and on LinkedIn, I'm Linda Gutin, LINDA GUTIN. If you Google me or ROI resumes, you'll find one or both of those links, and that's one way. Word of mouth, certainly. People who I've done resumes for the husband and the wife, or the wife and the husband. Then a couple years go by, and their kids graduating from college, and I do theirs. I make somebody laugh at a networking event. That's usually not the resume part. That's usually the copywriting part.
Okay. So, again, tell me a little bit about, because I know, like I said, you do the resume, but you also do copywriting, and I know you're a stickler for when you can find misspelled and misread words very easily. So, do you work with people that, like authors, publishers, and those people in that area of work? Because there are a lot of people now that are a self-publisher, like myself.
Right.
I would need a person like yourself to help make me sound better, make my words flow better, look better. Are you that person? Do you work with self-publishers?
For me, I like the shorter the better, and I'm more of a marketing writer than I am about a book editor. I would probably refer you to somebody, but I would then say, when it's time to write your cover, or if you're going to write if you're not self-published but you're looking to write to a publishing company, you need to have a query letter. Even then, I'd probably refer you to somebody who has experience writing successful query letters, because I've not done that, but I am very good at making other people's writing better, and I prefer it to be short. So slogans, subject lines on emails, any kind of sales letter, marketing letter, website copy, not the content, which I differentiate. Content, or like the blogs and the articles, I can rewrite those and edit those and make them punchier, but I don't tend to write them from scratch. But when it comes to the copy, which is the stuff that's on the main pages, then I can do that.
So is that part of the ROI resume? Is that part of what your company does?
It's pretty much because resumes have been the main thing that I've done for years. That appears on that website. On LinkedIn, there's more. On the ROI Resumes website, it lists the different things that I do. The formal company name is Linda Incorporated. It was supposed to be a play on Murder Incorporated, but nobody knows what that is either. So, see, there's an example of something that was clever but not effective.
Now, you also have you have a sense of humor, but you also have a background as an amateur comedian as well.
Yes.
Now, that being said, you also speak of people having a sense of humor and being able to to laugh and so forth in doing whatever it is that you do. How does that come across in the work that you do with your resume clients and and some of your other clients?
Well, it's actually really hard for it not to come through. I keep being told by one of my, I don't know if I call them mentors, like, stop trying to be funny. And I'm like, who's trying? Like, even when I'm not trying, or I'm trying not to be funny, it's still funny. So, yeah, that's hard. But as you mentioned, being an amateur stand-up comedian, I did once make $12. I tried to. Oh, actually, no. I once won a prize for $100. That was nice.
As an amateur comedian.
Yes, in a contest. And when I was inviting people to come see me, I was at a networking event, and I stood up to 100 people, and I said, yes, so I'd love it if you come see me in the contest I'm going to be in on Friday night, or everybody here could just pass me $1 and we can call it even. And this guy gave me $5, and I tried to give it back to him, but he said, no, you make me laugh every time at this networking event, so you keep that $5. So I should say I won $105.
105. So in the networking events, when you're at networking events, do you use that humor in your presentation when you're talking about your your resume company? Do you use that as part of your as part of your gimmick?
Not always. It depends. It depends what kind of mood I am in, and it depends on what spills out of my mouth. Sometimes something spills out and it's not funny, and then I make a comment and that's funny. So, but I do like to help other people be funnier and deliver better elevator pitches, or sometimes somebody's panicked about a job interview, and I'll say, well, what's worrying you? And based on what they tell me, I help them write something slightly humorous and practice it so that they can deliver that comfortably and put both them and the interviewer at ease.
So you actually not just only write the resume, but you also take them through the interview process. You do like a mock interview with them, or
only if they bring it. Only if they bring it up. If somebody were to say I'm really not good at interviews and I'd like some coaching, I would find somebody for them to do the coaching. There are people who really know their stuff about interviews, but occasionally a client will say, I'm really worried. They ask me if I don't have a 4-year degree, why don't I have one? And I say, well, why don't you? I was forced to drop out because I needed a kidney transplant. But I don't want them to know that because they might think I'm not healthy. Like, okay, well, then you just, when they ask you, smile, look them in the eye, and say, due to personal reasons, I was forced to drop out. But after that, I got hired by somebody part-time. They've hired me full-time, and when that person changed jobs, she took me to the next company. And my client said she felt that answer really, the knowledge she could have that answer ready to go, and then how well she delivered it helped turn the interview in her favor. So.
So let me ask you: do you work with more of the people on the executive end, or more of the students coming out of college
It's a
doing
good question.
internships? How does that usually play out in terms of balance?
Right. Um, it's a tough thing because the executives usually have much more interesting backgrounds, and it's a lot harder to do their resumes, so it's more of a challenge. But I like doing because if you see sorry, all due respect to the people who work at career centers at colleges, the resulting resumes that come out of there are horrible. They're horrible.
Why you say that?
Well, you just have to look at one, and you'll see. First of all, they've got the street address.
Okay,
They've got lines. They teach the kids what to do, but then it's ultimately up to the kid to do it. And the kids just most of the time are not really phenomenal writers, and they're not really phenomenal at understanding what their value is. Um, somebody say, "Well, I just graduated from college. I don't have any skills." It's like, really? How old were you when you had your first job? 10. What did you do? I was a paper girl. Did you have you ever stopped working since then? No. Well, tell me a little bit about the jobs that you've had since then. Oh, well, I worked at a ladies' clothing store. I'm like, how much were you entrusted with the safe and accurate handling of thousands of dollars a day and making the bank deposit? Yes. Okay. Tell me more about that. So the people working at the career centers, maybe they're busy, maybe they're helping set up interviews, but they're not great resume writers, and they don't teach the kids to be great resume writers, because I work with really smart people and they're still not great resume writers. How can you be? I've done 1,000 resumes, probably, maybe more.
But and I see that one of the reasons why you are a great resume writer is because you're personable when it comes to that individual. Now you have a degree in psychology, now organizational psychology, but at the same time, I will say psychology is psychology, and understanding how that works in the real world. It also helps you to understand that when you're doing a resume, there are more of the meat and potatoes that you can get from a person, more of what they have done and what they know. You can put in that resume. You look at the transferable skills that they have, but you also make them aware of those skills also, so they'll know when you get to that interview what to say. So you kind of prompt them, whereas if they went to a career center or on a campus, they don't get that. Somebody may do a resume for them, but they just doing a resume. You do more than just the resume. You actually you get inside their heads.
Yes.
And you pull it out and put it actually in a resume.
Right.
So you make them more marketable. That separates you from the competition, you would say?
I think the main thing that, from what I see, when somebody comes to me and they've just paid a lot of money to have their resume. I mean, I worked with an executive recently who had 3 resumes done. He'd already paid $5,000 across those 3 resumes, and then he paid me less than more than the lower one, and he ended up using mine. Now, granted, some of the information that had gotten out was brought out from the other resume writers. But he had way too much stuff on his resume. And I don't even know at what point, well, maybe as a better example is, sometimes people bury the lead, and that's an expression in journalism, that somebody writes an article, but the most interesting thing is 3 paragraphs down when it should be in the title of the article. So I did a resume for a guy who had saved a company $32 million over 3 years, and it was on a second page of his resume, and I put it in the first line.
Yeah, that speaks to your years of experience again, and knowing the psychological impact that it has on the resume reader.
Right.
So again, that separates you from the competition. There was a quote from Dawn Nicole, the Grow Getter, and she helps people develop their companies. And one of the things that Dawn Nicole says is that who you are is greater than what you do.
Yeah.
Because who you are, nobody else can be you. Everybody can do what you do. There's a lot of resume writers and designers out there. There are millions of resume writers, but nobody is you, and nobody has the mindset, the skill sets, and everything that you have. With the essence of who you are is in you, and that comes out in what you do.
Right.
So nobody can compete with who you are. They can compete with what you do, but they can't compete with who you are, because who you are makes you totally different from any of them, and that comes out in the work that you do. So that makes the work that you do better, or definitely unique and different than what others do. That's why you are the it girl for 2017. So anyone that wants a resume done should be getting in contact with you, because
Sure.
you not only know what you do, but you know how to do it and how to make them look good. So can you give people your social media
Sure.
information and your website, so they'll know how to get in touch with you, and going forward in 2017, you're gonna make them better. So
Okay.
definitely give them that information.
Well, the website again is roiresumes.com. We bring the cha-ching. On LinkedIn, you can just look up Linda Gutin, Gutin. I think there are 2 other Linda Gutins in the world, but none do resume writing that I know of. And my Facebook page is not so great, so don't go there. And I don't really tweet that much. I did want to add that a couple of the reasons why I think that I don't know, better, let's just say different than other resume writers, is typically they'll give you a form to fill out, and if you don't tell them what you want on the resume, they may not do a lot of digging. I do a lot of digging. I can usually look at what somebody has given me and say, this doesn't even begin to match what I know you're capable of doing. Go back, look at the samples, try to remember the things that you would like to brag about, but bragging is considered a negative thing. But I tell my clients, to me, you better brag. Brag all you want, because I will make it sound like you're not bragging. But if you don't tell me about it and how you want to be seen, then I can't help you. And then I do a lot of drafts. The secret to good writing is rewriting, and then rewriting, and then rewriting.
So that's the key.
Yes.
So again, give people your website address.
roiresumes.com stands for Return on Investment, resumes.com. And the number, I'm going to give you the Google Voice number in case this goes out farther than the triangle. 347-433-6412. Leave me a detailed message. You can contact me through the website or lg@roiresumes.com.
All right. Well, Linda, listen, I appreciate you coming on today,
Sure.
sharing with the public who you are and what you do in terms of return on investment resume, so people can get in contact with you, because actually they need you. And this definitely goes out beyond the triangle. That's...
Oh, I'm glad. Well, I've never met a resume that I couldn't improve. So, and I don't, if yours is perfect or near perfect, I don't try and get you to hire me anyway. I will tell you that it's perfect or near perfect. Just fix the spelling on, just take that apostrophe off of it's. I have a good joke. Can I tell one last joke?
You got it.
If it ain't, it is. It ain't getting an apostrophe. Okay, do you get that? A lot of people put the apostrophe in the wrong place on the word it's.
I do grammatical errors all the time, so I have to have someone behind me to come behind me to make my grammatical spelling look better and sound better, just in general. And sometimes they miss it because you got to be on it. I'm gonna say you got to be a stickler to actually, because people read and see and don't even think a lot of times about what they're looking at. But look, we are out of time.
Okay.
I do appreciate you being here. We'll be here again next Tuesday at 2 o'clock from 2 to 3. I appreciate your audience for tuning in today. Happy New Year. Let's take this new year to the next level. And everything that you do, try to be great at what you do, not just mediocre. If you want to be mediocre, you really don't have to try hard to do that. But if you want to go to the next level, that means you got to put a little effort into it. So I'll see you next week. Be good, be safe, and enjoy.
You're tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section on nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Atomos.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.